Let's take you to Capitol Hill now, where lawmakers are facing a slew of legislative priorities now that there is a House Speaker. Among them, working to avoid a government shutdown next month. New Speaker Mike Johnson says funding for Israel will also be considered this week. President Biden is pushing for a package that also includes Ukraine. So for more on the congressional agenda this week, let's bring in Nikole Killion. All right, Nikole, so the GOP is expected to bring a standalone Israel aid bill to the House floor this week. How likely is that to pass, and what's expected to be included in it?
Well, this is a $14 billion measure, and the aim of it is to assist Israel as it continues to conduct this ground offensive. But what's interesting about what's being proposed here is that House Republicans, specifically Speaker Mike Johnson, actually wants the cost of this measure offset, which is fairly unusual when we're talking about emergency supplementals and emergency aid. This is money that has been requested by the White House, although they requested it as part of a broader foreign aid package that was set to include Ukraine, as well as funding for Taiwan, the border. But the Speaker making clear he wants to move forward with a standalone package, and this is one of several measures likely to come up in the floor this week.
So Speaker Johnson spoke about the funding for Israel over the weekend during an interview on Fox News. I want to play some of what he said.
This is a priority for our country, and we cannot allow the brutality and the just unspeakable evil that is happening against Israel right now to continue. We're going to stand with our friends.
Okay, but why does Speaker Johnson want to split off aid to Israel? And what are some of his other priorities now that he's Speaker? Because what the president had initially asked for is not just aid to Israel, but much more aid to Ukraine. And some would argue that the war in Ukraine is of crucial importance to the rest of the world as well. So why split that off?
Right. Well, look, it's no secret that the House Republican conference is split over aid to Ukraine. Many conservative members of the conference really do not want to continue funding the war in Ukraine. And some even, that was one of the concerns even during this 3-week speaker battle that we just endured that some members had. So I think the Speaker knows that he doesn't necessarily have the support of the entire conference to move ahead with a fuller package. We also know that Republicans are more conservative when it comes to fiscal measures. I mean, what the White House is requesting is over $100 billion. But clearly, with what's happening in the Middle East, the Speaker seems to feel that Israel right now should be the priority. And it really does put into question what could happen with Ukraine aid. Speaker Johnson has said that he does support additional aid to Ukraine, even though he has voted against some recent funding measures. But he believes that there needs to be greater accountability, a greater oversight over this aid, and greater clarity from the White House about its objectives in terms of continuing to fund Ukraine. Because keep in mind, about $60 billion of that $100 billion package was funding for Ukraine. So that is a pretty high price tag. That is of concern to Republicans. So that may be one reason why you are seeing the Speaker split that off. But it also raises questions about how Senate Republicans will respond if they get this standalone package to assist Israel, whether or not in the Senate they will try to couple these two things back together, or if they will allow things to stay as is.
All right, so let me ask you about the other looming challenge. Congress has less than 3 weeks before the November 17th government shutdown deadline. Where do efforts to fund the government currently stand?
Well, that is another big question going forward as Speaker Johnson moves forward here. This will be his first full week in office, but, he has made clear that he wants to move aggressively with appropriations bills, and the House will be moving forward with some of those this week. But he has suggested that if they cannot pass all of these appropriations bills by the middle of next month, when this government funding deadline hits, that it's possible that a CR, a continuing resolution to fund the government once again temporarily, could advance, whether that is just through January or potentially through April. And just in talking to Republicans last week about this, this is something that many seem amenable to doing if they need to do another short-term patch. It seems all sides are committed to trying to get their appropriations bills across the finish line. So that really is the greater task at hand.
All right, Nikole, thank you.
You bet.